All right, everyone, let's talk about some motor starters, right? So what you're looking at right now is the top of some motor starter fuses. The switch is in the open position. You could tell that because you've got some fuses right here, and then right here in the back, you can see that the little shutter is closed. So we have no blades engaged. And what we want to talk about during this video is this little plastic arm that's hanging down on top of these fuses. This arm is called blown fuse indicator, and right now it's in the normal position. If the fuse blows, what's going to happen is a little button's going to come out at the top of one of these fuses, and doesn't matter which fuse. There's three arms here. If any one of these buttons blows up, that respective arm will get pushed up, and it will operate a switch here on the side. Okay, and that little switch operates this little micro switch. Now I understand it's a little bit fuzzy of a video or a picture, but we got a couple more coming up later that are a little more clear. But still, you can see this arm, and right now this switch is just a little itty bitty micro switch on the side of it. I mean, it looks big in this picture, but I mean it's smaller than your thumb. Okay, so when your fuse blows, that arm will raise a little bit, right? And when that happens, it'll get pushed up. It'll operate its micro switch on the side. It'll look like that. You can see that there's a little notch here in the edge of it. That kind of keeps the micro switch locked into that one position, so that way it doesn't naturally fall down. If you look at this last picture, those arms aren't touching anything. Gravity should be pulling that arm back down, but it's not going to happen because it's kind of notched in there. But what does that micro switch do when those fuses blow? It stops your contactor from electrically closing. Okay, that's all this thing does. It basically says, I have a blown fuse and we don't want to single phase your motor, so it electrically locks out your contactor. That's what it does. Okay, no mechanical interlock, just electrical. So this is what it looks like in the blown position right here, and this is what it looks like in the normal position. All right. So let's go on. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this real video, and let's talk about what happens when it gets here. Now this, it's gone too far. There could be various reasons why this happens. Someone goes in there, replaces a fuse, and they bump it up, or maybe someone was doing some testing, or maybe a maintenance technician was in there doing something, and the arm got bumped up. And what's difficult to see in this picture is that it's actually caught right here on this little copper ribbon. Okay, it's just rubbing it slightly, just grazing it. But the thing is that it's enough force to keep it from falling back down. You can see there's actually a gap here. There's nothing holding this thing up, okay, other than that little sideways force of that ribbon, that little copper ribbon. So this right here, it's blown past its micro switch. It will not naturally go back down. And even if you take that pressure off that ribbon, it'll fall slightly, but it'll just sit on top of that micro switch roller. You actually have to push this roller in towards the micro switch in order to get it to come back over top of the switch arm. Okay. So it's over traveled. That's the problem here. All right. And that's what it looks like. Now, these blades are still racked out, right? This ribbon is drooping down right here. It's because the blades are up right here. You can see that this arm right here is leaning back towards, the camera. And then right underneath this blown fuse indicator, this rolling arm, you can see that there's a copper blade right here, and the shutters are closed. Okay. That's important because the next picture is with the shutters open, blades engaged, switch is closed. You can see that the upper arm is rolled in and the blades are in. These copper ribbons are no longer sagging anymore. They are fully, inserted and moving with the moving contact. So these blades are now in. And what happened here was we had a maintenance guy and he was doing a good job. He had to do some DLRO tests on the bus. And when he got in there, these got bumped up. Now, he did do a good job, and he was trying to open that switch, but what you can see is that these arms right here, after he got done testing, he went to open, and these arms were hitting. They were striking, and because he was doing a good job, he never broke anything. So, kudos to him. But it just kept bumping it, and he couldn't open the switch anymore. It was completely locked out of travel. So what we had to do is just go over there and physically pull this arm back down. And you can see that it was over traveling right here a little further up. So we had to push the roller back in and come back here and pull this back down. And then the switch went back to operating normally. Okay. But this was a success story, right? Don't be the guy when it doesn't operate naturally, normally, if it doesn't move easily, you need maintenance. Okay. You got something wrong with it. You've got to fix it. Could be lubrication issue, could be binding parts, could be something like this where it just, it got in a way misoperated, you could say, to where it went way past its normal travel position and now it's interfering with the operation of other components. Okay. But that's the point of this video. You can see that the blown fuse indicator, it's an electrical lockout for your contactor. Won't let your contactor close when you have a blown fuse, so it's a safety feature for your equipment. But it does have its mishaps and its own issues when it's operated beyond its constraints or its normal operation. Okay, so don't accidentally break your blown fuse indicator and start making parts fly inside this bucket because you just slam that switch and try to get it to go back open. Okay, get some maintenance if you need it. But as a recap, this is what your blown fuse indicator normally looks like, and then this is what it would look like if it were a blown fuse. And then if it's getting up to that position, you've gone too far, you got to start fixing it. Okay. And as a recap, this is what your travel of the electrical limit switch should look like in the normal position. This means your contactor is able to close. This is what it looks like when you've got a blown fuse. Okay, so this is just slightly notched right here. You just got to pull it back down. It's a roller bump, right? So you can just bump it back down. It won't do anything. But when you get to this position, you actually have to physically push this limit switch arm back in for this to go back down. Okay, that'll be it. You have a good day.